Okay, real talk. If your dating history looks like a group project where you did all the emotional labor and they brought vibes and a crystal, this video is for you. You keep dating the same mystery wrapped in chaos and calling it potential? Babe, it's not Tao, it's a trap. Hi, I'm Haim with Be Love Media, and today we're going to talk about the juncture between the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching and your love life. I'm passionate about helping people not go through what I did when it comes to choosing the right soulmate, the right romantic partner. I have made more learning opportunities, or as some people will call them, romantic mistakes, that I can even count. And that brought me to experience misery, suffering, and heartache time after time, with some major negative consequences that came out of it, but again, also amazing lessons. And I'm passionate about showing people how using certain ancient wisdoms like the Tao Te Ching, like Kabbalah, like Buddhism and others can really put us on the right track for making better decisions and experiencing true love. I only came to experience it after, listen up, 3 failed marriages. Yes, not proud of it, but that's just what happened. And now after half a century of trial and errors and 30 years of adult life as an adult, I finally found my ultimate soulmate, my true love partner, and my best friend, who I am married to now, my beloved Rachel. I found that there are certain principles one can follow that help us avoid those potholes. So today we're going to talk about verse 6 of the Tao Te Ching. And before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because your heart deserves more than another love story that ends with, but their moon sign made me do it. So, verse 6 of the Tao Te Ching. The spirit of the valley never dies. It is called the mysterious feminine. The gateway of the mysterious feminine is the root of heaven and earth. It is like a veil barely seen. Use it. It will never fail. This was translated from the Tao Te Ching by Stephen Mitchell. So, letting you know that if you stick around all the way to the end of this pretty short video, you'll get 3 amazing nuggets, practical advice based on this verse for your journey of choosing the right partner, the right romantic partner. So stick around. But first, 5 wisdom nuggets from this verse applied to finding a partner. 1. Enduring energy matters. Like the spirit of the valley, choose someone whose love is consistent and life-giving, not someone who disappears every emotional winter. So, in spiritual teachings, the valley is a metaphor for an abundant space that is a life-giving space. The heights of the mountains, a cave in the mountain is almost like a metaphor for certain heights, but also certain struggles that come with it. However, the valley takes all the abundance from the mountains around it, from the spaces around it, water, abundant with water many times. The valley is known, agriculturally speaking, as having fertile soil and so on. You get the picture. So you're looking for somebody who is consistent and life-giving, such as the valley. 2, look for the mysterious feminine in everyone. Whether in men, women, or beyond gender, seek those who embody softness, intuition, and emotional intelligence, not just surface-level spiritual lingo. Here's a little story. When I became single again after my previous marriage, which unfortunately was my worst relationship. I got a lot of value out of that relationship and a lot of lessons, but it unfortunately was the worst one I had as far as toxicity. And when I got out and became single again, which was right around the time the pandemic of 2020 started, I wanted to meet my my true soulmate, as I was hoping to find. And while I was in that period, I also got to know on a deeper level the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching, and I decided I'm gonna do it right this time as best I could. Well, one of the things I figured out is that I need to be with somebody who appreciates spirituality. However, it's very easy to mistaken excitement of spiritual topics or even knowledge of spiritual topics with true spirituality or with true wisdom. I live in California, San Diego. Lots of people here are excited about crystals, sound bowls, and using incense, you name it. Yoga, of course, you name it. Does that equate to wisdom? Not necessarily so. I found incredibly interesting and exciting people who I got together with and knew a lot about yoga, meditation, you name it, and were selfish. No judgment, just they were. Now, does a wise, deep spiritual person who believes in compassion, giving, and being generous, would they be likely selfish? Not as much as you would expect, right? So, or you would expect them to be more generous than selfish. However, just because somebody likes yoga doesn't mean they are. So be careful of surface level spiritual lingo. Number 3, the right partner is a gateway, not a detour. They open you up to growth, not confusion. A true partner expands your path, not hijacks it. And that goes back to being with somebody that might be more selfish, egocentric, than giving, than kind, than generous. Somebody who I would assume you would want to find too. That doesn't mean you get to be selfish. That means you learn to open up to generosity and kindness within you so that you attract similar other types into your experience, into your reality. So for me, when I finally met the love of my life, who would become my current wife and best friend, Rachel, I saw that in her. I saw how excited she was, not about taking selfies and posting it on Facebook, no offense to anyone, but rather about celebrating her dad, who at the time passed away, and she was sharing with her Facebook community about that. I am no longer on Facebook. She's no longer on Facebook for our own reasons. However, at the time we were, and that's what she chose to share, not so much what was her lunch that day. And we saw within each other, me and Rachel, the passion for the wisdom of the Tao, the passion for spirituality. Why? Because we wanted to grow, we wanted to expand our consciousness. And that usually means one thing and one thing only, or main thing only, which is how you treat other people. So you want to find somebody who expands your path, is generous, is kind, and not somebody who is just trying to use you for their own purposes. 4, subtle doesn't mean weak. Just like the Tao is a veil barely seen, real depth isn't always loud. Don't mistake stifleness for lack of substance. If I compare my previous partner, we'll leave them anonymous. My previous partner was a very loud person. I could be a very loud person. I thought, hey, that's a lot of fun. Was at the time somewhat fun, but also turned out to be very aggressive, very, unfortunately, abusive, and trying to use others for their purpose to some degree. And unlike that type of personality, my wife now, my Rachel, she's a very subtle person. She's a very soft spoken person. She is very careful to make sure that the other person feels heard, whoever she's talking to. And you know what? That is such a precious experience to go through, to get to know a person like that, let alone to have them become your partner, your life partner. And that should not be mistaken for weak, right? It's very easy sometimes to take advantage of people who are softly spoken, but that's on us, right? That's on me to not perceive it as somebody weak that I should take advantage of, which might be easier than somebody who's verbally loud or demanding, but it should be perceived as it is, a kinder person, a soft person who is interested in win-win for both of you, and so should I, so should we aspire when we meet somebody like that, and not to take advantage of it. 5, dependability is divine. It will never fail, quote unquote. That's the gold standard. Look for someone whose presence is reliable, whose love doesn't flicker with mood swings or moon cycles. So again, great examples, if it's okay that I share, was my first date with my previous partner. Again, where the relationship turned out to be very toxic and very verbally abusive and whatnot. We had our good times, don't get me wrong. Every relationship does. But unfortunately, the negative outweighed the positive when I look in hindsight. And first date that we had, we're talking 2009. First date, I'm waiting, I'm excited, I can't wait to get to know this person. Sure enough, 10 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by. I don't hear from them, no text, no nothing. They just don't show up. I was on my way to giving up and sending him a text, hey, let's reschedule or forget about it kind of thing. And sure enough, they show up last minute. They look charming. They were good looking. So, my manly ego fell for it. But that turned out to be, just like the first date, someone who was quite unreliable, to say the least, that was almost always late, half an hour to every event, doesn't matter who it was, even a wedding. Versus 10, 15 years later, meeting my Rachel, we actually started, interestingly enough, there's a story for another video, virtual dating. It was during the pandemic. She was 6,000 miles away, 7,000 miles away from me. And we, for 3.5 months, all we could do was get to know each other on FaceTime. And sure enough, every single time we scheduled, she was there on time. I was there on time. Hey, things happen. People are sometimes late. But you don't want it to be somebody who is thinks lowly of your time, of your attention, and your overly forgiving nature when they're always late and their excuses are pretty pathetic. Versus my beloved Rachel, we were both reliable to each other. Guess what? It's more fun and more rewarding to have a relationship with someone like that. So these were the 5 nuggets of wisdom. And before we move into the 3 practical dating tips inspired by this verse, hit that subscribe and like button and share. So let's go right into it. 3 practical dating tips inspired by this verse, verse 6. Feel into their energy, not just their words. If they say the right things, but your body feels drained or anxious around them, that's not mystery, that's misalignment. 2, notice who feels like home. The Tao is rooted, calm, and nourishing. So should your connection feel. If it's always intense or confusing, it's not a Tao, it's a trauma bond. And I know mine was. Severely traumatic bond that came from both of us, my previous partner and myself. We both had our childhood trauma, and I resolved it to some extent, but I still have some unresolved. I had some unresolved trauma. She never really addressed it, and that's how it looked like. So beware. Last practical dating tip. 3rd, choose stillness over sparkle. Flashy fades. If their presence gives you peace, comfort, and clarity, that's divine. That's sustainable love. That doesn't contradict you not having fun and there's exciting dates. But how is their energy? Watch out for that. If this video helped you realize that your type might actually be a spiritual mirage with good hair, then do yourself a favor. Like this video like you finally like your own solitude. Drop a comment with the red flag you used to romanticize. Share this with a friend who keeps dating people who ghost, then return as a lesson. And don't forget to subscribe, because your soul deserves guidance, not just another confusing situationship in a spiritual packaging. Until next time, stay soft, stay aware, and may your next love feel like the Tao, deep, dependable, and drama-free. Goodbye, true lovers.